Greetings. So, do you think Mark Carney and his Liberal government has Canada's best interests at heart? Think again. If you think that Mark Carney has the best interests of Canadians at heart, well, I'll tell you, there's a Nigerian widow who needs your help in order to collect millions of dollars in an inheritance. And it really is that simple. And Canadians who trust Mark Carney are really that stupid. During the election campaign, Carney refused to divulge his financial assets to Canadians. And in fairness, he was not obligated to do so. Canada's ethics laws gave him 90 days from assuming the role of prime minister to divulge his holdings. So he was adhering to the letter of the law in hiding his portfolio from Canadians. And one could argue that being open and transparent with Canadians, that it would have been nice and perhaps even ethical, but it was not required. And after the election was over, we of course found out that he was heavily invested in American companies with very little Canadian content. But given his record as the head of Brookfield Asset Management, this should not have been a surprise. One of the last things he did before stepping away from Brookfield and entering into Canadian politics, one of the first things he did before stepping away was to send a letter to Brookfield shareholders urging them to approve shutting down Brookfield's Toronto head office for a move to New York City. And the shareholders took Carney's advice and moved high-paying Canadian jobs to Donald Trump's United States. When questioned, he was questioned about it during the campaign, and when he was questioned about Brookfield's move to New York during that campaign, Carney played fast and loose with the facts. He said that the decision to move the headquarters came after he left his position with the company. And strictly speaking, that was not a complete lie. The decision was made after he left, but he declined to take responsibility for the letter he had sent to shareholders urging them to make the moves. He wanted Canadians to think that it was a decision he was divorced from. And a lot of dumb Canadian voters believed him, as evidenced by the results on April 28th, election night. And we've also learned how Brookfield gamed the tax system during his time as chair of the company. Rather than registering investment funds in Canada, they used an address in Bermuda. And in point of fact, it was a bicycle shop. But again, to be clear, this was not illegal. It's the kind of financial maneuvering that Donald Trump brags about. I'm playing by the rules. That, of course, is all history. But we all know the saying, those who don't learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat the same mistakes over and over and over. So the question begs, if Mark Carney was not to be trusted previously, why should Canadians trust him now? When he said he was going to stand up to Trump and the Americans on trade, but then pulled his elbows in and turtled, Canadians with critical thinking skills were not surprised. And now Canada's prime minister is promising to double non-US exports. Do you believe him? If you do believe Carney, then I do suggest that you check your email for that message from that Nigerian widow who needs your help to process an inheritance worth millions of dollars, and she's willing to split it with you. You should trust Mark Carney about as much as you would trust a spam email. Thanks for watching. That's my message for this video, which I'll be publishing on the 25th of October, 2025. You've been watching Act One, a Canadian take on news events. I'm Gordy Canuck, the host, chief cook and bottle washer, the most basic YouTube station you're probably going to find, or certainly one of them. No production values, no bells and whistles, just very raw, bare bones, basic commentary that I put out whenever things come to my mind. And I also I host frequent live streams, which you're welcome to join in on. Wednesdays and Sundays seem to be popular nights, but I don't really have a fixed schedule. I'm a one-man show. I'm still working. I used to be in the military. I left the military in 2021 because I was not, I requested my release ahead of the shots, the mandatory COVID vaccines being ordered on serving members. I was not willing to risk taking something that I viewed as having been improperly tested to the extent that there was no long-term safety profile. A few months is not a long-term safety profile. I expected more rigor from the pharmaceutical industry and from the regulatory agencies like Health Canada in my country and the FDA down in the US. But anyway, I'm rambling on now. You're welcome to like, you're welcome to share my content. You can subscribe. I'm in and around 1,300 or so subscribers, always looking to grow the channel. The YouTube space is difficult. If you want to help me out, filling the comment field, it helps. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think of Mark Carney? Do you trust him? Do you help out Nigerian widows when they want to inherit millions of dollars, and are you waiting on your cut? Uh, and basically, that's it. Thanks for watching and hope to see you back. God bless.